This podcast is brought to you by Allies. Allies is all about bringing growth to the software services industry. It's a platform where hundreds of companies grow together by exchanging talents, projects, and best practices. In this podcast, we will bring you the stories of the most successful companies and people in the business. We cover topics from sales, marketing, HR, and culture to give you ideas for future growth. Welcome to another podcast episode of Allies podcast. I'm your host, Tomi Kaukinen, and with me today is actually the founder of Allies and also another very popular person in terms of software industry services. So let's start with Mr. Software Services Expert. Who are you? What are you doing in my studio?
Thank you, Tommy. I'm Petri Niiranen, and so I'm here working with Priit to tell about the Allies and also if I can help and bringing in some understanding of Finnish software consulting market. So
that's your stuff. What's your background? How did you end up in this situation?
That's a long story. My face is old. But, okay, I have engineering background, so I used to do hands-on engineering work.
Developer.
Testing, developing. So all of that projects. Also, I was heading R&D units. So also international. So US, Finland, China. This kind of background. So then at some point of time, I started to think about it. Okay, I maybe should learn more about business side. And I went to Accenture, which is a management consulting company, and there almost 10 years. Services business, consulting business, this kind of stuff. After that, little jump back to Nokia and became entrepreneur in Lingonberry Island as a consultancy. And now I'm helping, actually in 3 roles. I help Finnish companies to become international.
Nice.
I help Baltic companies to become international from their aspect to enter Finland. And the third aspect is I help companies grow. So make growth strategies, help their competitive advantage. And try to...
Okay, show us some street cred. Like what was the first developer, what was the first language in development you learned?
Assembler.
Because I've been hearing like Simon's Basic and all this stuff.
Actually, that was right. I forgot it.
Okay, I think you got some credibility now.
Assembler was first one that was kind of a professional language, the basic stuff with MSX computer, Spectravision was.
Did you have the VIC-20? Or Amiga 500 or Commodore 64?
No, Spectra Video, MSX.
Okay, because there were 2 schools of thought out. The other one was like the Commodore Amiga, and the other one was Atari and Spectrum and these guys.
Yeah. Those were important. Actually, when I was 6th grader, it was something like 1983. My teacher was very advanced, so he had bought VIC-20 and he brought it in the classroom.
Yeah.
And he showed how it's working, and then we used this yli olan heitin, this kind of where you have transparencies and the light comes on the wall. And we made with pen writing first basic codes, and that was the first touch of coding.
My dad bought me a VIC-20.
Yep.
I only played games with it, but yeah. Okay, Priit, what's your first coding language?
So that's what I was going to say is that we had a computer at home when I was really young already. But instead of writing code, we had this winter sports game where I had to press enter really fast in order to ski really fast.
Yes.
And that's what I did. So, and actually that's as far as my coding experience goes. I have never coded anything. I guess the people that in the end, either you grow tired of code or you are not really good at it, then you end up in business.
It's like this disqualification of
good save for him. So.
Okay, so what brought you two guys together? Because I understand you're somehow linked.
COVID.
Yeah, actually COVID. Yeah, maybe I can say how I got to Petri.
Yeah. Let's compare.
Let's compare the story and who's lying, right? So we were building this startup which is called Allies, and the Allies story is that we always wanted to build a startup. We didn't want to build a services company, but we wanted to build something for software services. at the beginning we had no idea who to sell what or anything. So what we did initially is that we had a Slack group, and we went and met almost every software services entrepreneur and CEO, first in Estonia, then in the Baltics, and told them, hey, we don't know yet how, but we're going to bring you growth. Join our Slack group. It was free of charge, and we really didn't know how exactly and who the customer was going to be. A little bit later, and we were a little bit more mature, we had built up, I would say, pretty good supply. And during COVID time, we were doing some sort of research how the initial COVID wave was influencing the companies in Estonia. And then I heard from one of our early partners in Finland, who's Janne Kalliola from Exove and Koodia Suomesta. He said that there is someone else doing this kind of work in Finland.
Yeah. So I had started to also collect data that how this COVID reactions are going inside the companies, and I had a Typeform questionnaire, and it was part of exercise. I was thinking about a little bit digitalize more my own business, so I created this kind of Typeform questionnaire, and every week I was asking that how much you are now still trying to understand the COVID impact, how much you are already having changes in your company, how much your customer meetings are handling a new offering, etc., etc. So, like this Kruger curve, how is it going through? And that was just touch point to Priit, which led into many other touch points.
I think within the first LinkedIn conversation, within half an hour, you were put into a call with, I think, like 10 or 15 Estonian software house CEOs, and you presented your case. So it was really fast. I think it was not even about doing business together at the beginning, but from Ally's perspective, we had so it was already the point where we had gotten our first investors as on board, and we knew we needed to figure out, we had a year to figure out who and how and what we're going to sell and how we're going to productize whatever we had. And that's actually when we started talking with Petri, and the long story short is that Petri helped us figure out the Finnish market.
Yeah, we started segmenting it. So Priit and Robin and his team was having idea that who different customer segments could be their customers in Finland. And what we started a project where we were studying customer problem, a little bit this kind of service design type of approach, business design type of approach.
So what did you find?
We found that there's a talent shortage. We found that there are about 200 software consultancy companies in Finland who all suffer talent shortage, and we found that Priit has competitive advantage because he has been building with his team the important network of talent in Baltics. So, and that's what we started to build the value proposition and differentiation.
So to be honest, so did I get this right? You were doing almost against the principles of building a company. So you started building something before there was anything, but it turned out to be a very, very, very well-educated guess.
Let's put it this way, that if we had gone to the market without no supply, we wouldn't be able to enter the market. So I think that sort of when you build a platform or marketplace, there is one theory saying that first you build the supply, then you build the demand, and then you go back to the supply because you're going to run short. And actually we have done it maybe intuitively like that. We first built the supply, then we got our first customers that are mainly the large software consultancies with a head office in Finland that suffer from a huge talent shortage. And then we started delivering, but within that delivery you realize that you don't have everything, so you need to build more of the supply. And then when you have your first customers, then we start productizing it. And why did we start productizing? The fact is that we want to get access to a talent pool which is not available on the job market because that's the value you bring. Every software services company, their first choice would be to hire in-house, right? Because on paper you make more money, but the time to these resources is also critical. So in reality, if you get these resources fast from a subcontracting model, then you end up making more money. That's what we've proven with some Petri's research anyway.
Let's rewind a bit because so if we move back, so did I get it right that you actually had you gathered the people through a Slack group?
We gathered the heads of companies into a Slack group and started pushing deal flow to them. We didn't gather the developer themselves.
Okay.
Our supply comes from 100 plus companies from the Baltics and Poland. We have access to currently, let's say, the real access to real good sellable CVs that are available at any given moment. It's 1,200, and the theoretical access, which is much bigger. But in the Slack, we didn't have, 10,000 developers. We had the owners and business development or the C-level of these companies that wanted to sell to the Nordics, but they don't really know how.
Okay, got it. Okay, so you started from like top down basically, and did you your value proposition for them to join the Slack was that provide deals to them?
We bring you growth, which initially it comes in the form of deals. So as we see it in software services, two ways you can bring growth. Either you bring me a new deal from someone I cannot reach myself, and it's probably more interesting than what I have currently on the table, maybe better paying, etc. Or you bring me new talent. So on one side, we tackle the talent shortage, and on the other side, we tackle the access to deals. The deals are all there, but you have to follow a certain supply chain in order to reach these deals. It's not realistic that a 30-person niche dev house that focuses on X in the Baltic or Polish market gets a deal with an enterprise customer in Finland or Sweden.
One important point, what we discovered in early was that we met customer candidates, kind of customer profiles that were in Finland in the market. And when we were discussing about our value proposition, the feedback was that there are some similar kind of solutions available, but they are all poorly productized. So we started the productization project and started to think about that what are hard to copy type of elements in service.
What are the hard to copy elements?
Now, maybe not revealing all of them, but some of the things, how you can give a warranty for the quality of the design, so that if there's no competence match, what Allies is providing, next day they can give alternative person to work on that. So, for example,
we have productized a little bit or quite a lot on one side, a little bit on the other side. So basically, we sell to sales of larger companies because they use our talent pool to get deals from their customers. So we productize some on that side, made it very easy for them to get the talent from us, and talent that is really sellable to the customer, because the entry barrier is a little bit bigger if you bring a non-Finnish or non-Swedish or a non-Danish speaking resource. Then you have to make sure that the talent you provide is really in the format that it's sellable. And on the other side, we productize a lot. These companies use our talent management platform to manage their whole CV operation. And that gives us the access to a much broader pool of talent than just if we would be sending out requests and letting them to answer with their CVs and profiles.
Also, it's very important how Priit and his team is listening to customer. So the customer feedback has been extremely good. So customers tell what they need, how they need it, and they are delivering it. And at the same time, then the feedback from the customer is that this is exactly how it must be when we're working like this model.
Because I've been basically all my life on the buy side, but not in software services companies, but rather startups, and you get this inbound messages all the time from different software services providers around Europe, and the first thought is always like, okay, what is this company? Is it Eastern
There's
Europe,
no
India? You're skeptical. So that's why I'm interested in knowing, like, when you come from the Baltics and you come to Finland, like, how did you manage to pass through that? Because now you worked with all the big companies in Finland, basically. So how did you penetrate that kind of?
We built value proposition jointly with customer. So we didn't do our own guessing too much. We built kind of a frame of value proposition. So value proposition means what is our offering, what is the value it delivers to customer. Also, we made a list of those pain points that are difficult to buy, and we shaped this to work so that it's an entire value proposition where you are addressing 3 layers of buy decision. So the purpose, what is the meaning of strategic value of this service, buyer emotions, and also the functional value, so that this talent, is rarely skills that are rare in the market, talent supply that is fast. In days, you have team available. Priit can open some of those success cases, what you have been delivering really amazing results to customers related to that. So building this and verifying and validating with customer profiles. We started with non-selling meetings. So we called that, hey, we have a new product coming out. We would like to present our story and get your feedback. This is no sales meeting. We are not selling anything. And
Smart.
And we shaped, and then we wanted to go in a sales meeting. And the first meeting didn't make a deal, but meeting number 2, deal. Then we knew that we are close.
Yeah, it's a smart strategy. You kind of get because when you start selling, and as I said, you're in the buy side, you always turn defensive when it's like sales. So, but I'm still curious about how you got that meeting where to get them feedback, because that's also like people's time is valuable and all that stuff. So like, there must have been challenges there too.
But I think getting the meeting was not too much of a problem. I think it maybe played a little bit down to also Petri's background and his status on the market and the network. But I think this is not the most important in terms of, I think a very good point you brought is like the extreme example of companies reaching out to everyone from not their market, and then no one is ever going to buy their services almost. But like it can be explained by how different markets work, and they work a little bit differently. So, for example, maybe Petri knows a little bit better. Like, what is the percentage?
You are professional. Go ahead.
Okay. like, what is the percentage of new sales in Finland that is done with CV sales?
Yeah. If it CV sales, if we translate it a little bit, so that the software services market and software consulting market, it's all about skills. So I would say that teams are built based on skills and profiles that are available, and it's 100%. Then when you are opening a new customer, new client, they ask very often CVs or skills profile.
Who's going to do this?
Yeah, exactly. And it's they can be very picky. So I would say that 80%, more than 80% will start with CV. So once there's a trust, then maybe you can just feed in the need and bring the people into teams.
Yeah.
So.
And there is like a little bit of a difference, let's say, from how Finnish companies approach their CVs and how, let's say, companies that come from outside of the market, nearshoring, be it Baltics, be it Poland, they have different ways of building up CVs. So you want to get the trust of the customer. We have had cases where 2 Finnish competitors exchange CVs through allies with each other by stating the name of the resource person, the picture, the phone number, email address, all the projects really well always described. The Finnish CVs are like maybe 4 pages long, and they are really descriptive about the project that these people have done. So you can read as a customer quite a lot from these CVs. But then, for example, we have another extreme is like we want to bring a good Polish resource into a project. We know that this company and this resource person could have the skills to deliver it, but then we receive a profile which is blind, project names are under NDA, and very thin description of what this person has done. And then you cannot really do much with it, because by default you have less trust, because it comes from somewhere which you do not know, as well as if it was from a local resource. And then you're going to be very skeptical and you're not going to buy it. But you kind of have to turn it around, and you have to make sure that you sell your stuff the same way as it's being sold on the local market. So with our partners, we put a lot of emphasis on how these candidates are being presented, so that the end customer, however they receive it, they are used to buying it. And it comes down to simple things like, how do you craft a CV in a way that it can be sold on the market?
Are you part of this process, and you make sure that it becomes like that?
If I am, Allies platform is part of the process. These companies use our talent management software to handle their whole CV sales process, to craft CVs, to version them, to pull them out for our cases, but also their own sales cases. And then we of course consult them, our team, when we see that, we cannot really push it forward to the customer. Then we ask them to, work on it a little bit.
Okay, so once you had the, I want to get into this story because I like stories. Once you got these meetings and you got the sales subsequently, after you had the first case, surely it must have become a lot easier.
Yeah, I would say yes. Like it becomes easier, and it becomes a repeat customer. So they've seen that it works, and then it becomes a repeat customer. So you kind of sell once and then build trust to the platform and the people behind it, the people that manage it, and the people that are accessible, the talent that is accessible through that. Yeah. So of course it becomes easier.
Yeah. And then we started to build also publicity. So the Alias was no name in the market, so only a couple of customers knew about Alias. So we built the talent report under Alias brand, and made a press campaign related to that, and it was a quite good campaign. Several medias were publishing the article, and also the Taloussanomat in Finland, the biggest media in Finland, was publishing article about it, and it was the most popular article on that week. So
that sounds like a very smart way to do marketing, because a lot, I think, as we talked about, the buy side skepticism is going to vanish when you build you validate through PR and media and smart kind of marketing, I would say, because PR is marketing. So it's a very hard place to get to if you're not there. And once you're there, it's very easy to get repeat sales.
Yeah.
What was the biggest problem coming to Finland? What was the biggest challenge?
I think you're not able to enter any market unless you have, one way or another, a really good method to get to know the market. Our method was basically Petri.
Yes.
And you really have to have someone as a market insider to get you into this market. I've been in these meetings, like ITL is the organization that unites Estonian software services companies and other IT companies, and there have been these discussions like, how much does it cost to enter a foreign market? And they always say a certain number, but okay, it's that certain number, or you buy a company there, which gives you, or you somehow, invent your own way. And I don't think it's easy, but it's trial and error. Yeah.
But I think the main point when my own companies, I brought them to, for example, the Spanish market and stuff. I've learned lessons from losing money and stuff that a local representative is. I mean, there is no question. You just got to have someone who understands the market and knows the people. I mean, it's if you do that, okay, then you have to be very, very smart if you're going to manage without understanding the market, because okay, maybe Finland and people see Finland and Estonia fairly close, but surely there are differences.
That's true, and also we don't have to, as this platform, only open Finland or whichever is the buy side. You have to open the supply side. So being a good company in Poland among software services companies that are your supply is not also as straightforward. They know how to do business really, really well, and you don't just, they don't run after you like, hey, they have so many places to sell their services to, and the demand is so high that in a way I could argue that they don't really need you. So you have to productize that part really well as well. So it's not only about Finland, but it's figuring out what whichever side could want from you, and then maybe try.
So what does the supply side want from you then?
I hope I'm right there, but I think supply side always in reality the best deal for any software services company is a deal I own, which gives me a ton of resources to go into that project, which is long lasting. My team is happy in that project from I don't know, enterprise customer, which can go on forever. This is like quite hard to reach, so you have to start somewhere. You will always make some sort of like sacrifices. So you either get a deal you're like you get a lot of responsibility for and you manage it, but most likely it's not going to come from the biggest or most important customer, or you're either placing one or two resources starting really small, but your end customer can be really significant, your people can be really happy in there. So you have to, and we cannot bring them everything. So we have to somehow the same way segment the market. Like for example, hotels, they all use booking.com. You can open a hotel, you plug into booking.com and you are there. Deals start coming in, but they're not the best maybe deals. The best deals are the ones that you get directly. But to get directly, you sell, you market, etc. So you pay a commission to booking.com or you pay to the marketing and sales team. So it's a balance. And we can help these companies that are not local companies that want to enter the Nordic market to enter the market. And they are not going to be owning all the deals, but they will be able to place their talent into really, really good projects. And from there kind of grow onwards.
Yeah, exactly. And the market is there. So it's hard to make business if there's no market. So
for supply side, let's talk about, let's say there's some Polish, software services company wants to get into Finland. So their option is basically we can go through you or we can try to do it ourselves.
For example, yes. Of course, there are more options. I'm not saying that these are the only options.
Yeah, the important thing here is that Alias is not competing with not inside Finland, because Alias is helping these companies that need talent to get the talent. So what we learned also in the process was that there are alternatives and solutions inside the market to help companies find talent, but they were optimizing the talent market that is inside Finland. But what Allies is really doing is extending the market.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing what we can also offer to supply side, so that there's a good relationships between Allies and the market players in Finland, and so there's a trust in place, and it's a good way to come through Allies platform to Finland.
Yeah. So we've touched upon like how the model was built. Started with the Slack and supply and stuff. What were the next steps on building this model?
Next steps. I think to build the model on both sides, it has been about like productizing both sides. So the customer buys how the customer buys. So every customer has a certain particularity on how they buy, like whether they do it through their portal or whether they send you an email or whether, there are so many different options. But the way you respond to that can be very different. So we think that we respond in a way that makes their life very easy in order to sell these people. And that is focused on the quality of the input they get when they receive talent from us, the speed, and some more elements. And on the other side, I think the really big leap for us was that we had developed an internal tool for us to do this business quite fast. And at one point we realized that, this could be rolled out to our partner or vendor network. So now we have, out of all the companies that we work with, we have more than 20 companies by now that use the Allies talent management platform to manage their whole talent pool, their entire CV process, which gives us the data to all their teams, which gives them a better way of managing their talent, plus getting tapped into the deal flow that comes in through us. And now that we have actually companies with biggest one, more than 100 people using our product, it's a whole new level of responsibility in a way, and that's what we're working on really heavily.
So so you're actually making other things easier for the supply side, so that they get hooked into your system, basically.
Yes, for the supply side, and we like to think that also for the demand side. So yeah.
And how did this partnership then, evolve? You started getting the sales meetings, and all of a sudden, I think you are now an investor in the company or owner in the company.
Yeah, a small owner. So I'm supporting that way also. So yeah, we started collaborating. So we made a deal that half of it was consulting, half of it was option type. So for my company, and that way we collaborated. I helped on a growth journey. Then there was a funding round. So then I invested back all that money that I had received from Priit, but also I put some own money, or should I be honest and say my wife's money, also into company, and that way as an angel investor also now supporting the growth journey.
Do you have other investors too?
We have other investors too. Petri joined in the second round. So first of all, to get the company going in the initial phases, we have gone through all the phases. So friends, fools, family first. We did that.
You managed to do that safely?
No, not at all. I would say that I'm happy that I'm still with my wife, partner, that it worked out. The first 1.5 years was not too easy. Then we got in the first real round Gorilla Capital from Finland on board, together with 3 really good angels. And then the next round where Petri joined, he joined also with some very strong angels from with a very strong product background from some unicorn companies from Tallinn, basically.
And you have a lot of those in Estonia.
There are a few, and for some reason we are not one. I don't know why.
Yet you forgot to add yet. but now I need to digress, because you live in Tallinn, you live in Estonia. You're brought up. You're from there originally. Tell me your theory of why the hell is Estonia kicking our ass in Finland?
It's a really good question, and of course the simple story is that it was all catalyzed by Skype, and from there you have like different schools that came out, and that's produced, I think, I don't know, 11 unicorns, but I think that's really the tip of the iceberg. It's really like the amount of like growth that comes from this sector and the value it creates to the economy. It's really like spectacular in a way, and that's really good. And I think that we were also right now Estonia is not a good place for software services supply. Not very good place, because the most of the people, the talent, rather takes a job in a like very promising startup, which gives them an option package. But it's not only the case. Maybe our partners will not be too happy that I said it, but they are in a really tough competition for talent, and maybe even more so than here. So the services companies in that way are not, the most attractive employer on the market. The most attractive employer on the market usually is this very well growing startup or scale up.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, because I think we have similar problems in Finland with Supercell, and we had Rovio, and everybody just wanted to go work there. So I mean, this is probably a horrible thing to say, but did the software service company get kind of the people who actually really wanted to go somewhere else?
I would even say like this, that yes, it would. I think there are some people that are better suited for this kind of work, and there are two things. I think on the first side, these kind of companies are great employers, but they're really not great customers for software services companies. And Estonia, the same way as Nordics, I think Estonian services sort of drive comes mostly from the public sector, and it's not a really bad, like when we go and talk to our partners in Poland, they say we don't touch the public sector. It's not a good thing to work with the public sector for different reasons, but here it's different. I think that you have so many interesting projects people do together with the public sector, for the public sector. And when you look at the Finnish companies, then many of them, their growth is really reliant on the
Go4, I think, is one example.
Yeah.
They work very closely with municipalities, I think, and
something like the latest numbers, 2/3 of business what Go4 is reporting is coming from the public sector.
So why is that? Because why do we like it here? And because we see like long deals, long time, and money, and but
we are quite great market as our healthcare system is one of the biggest in the world. So even the US companies they struggle that healthcare is fragmented in US. So the US companies want to come to Finland and learn about we are the big customer for many companies. So in healthcare, for example, and there are many companies that have built a good growth around healthcare, like Go4, also Siili, Huld is there, Codeman. This kind of these are just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. So how do you convince someone from Poland or something that doesn't want to work public that there is a pretty great sector in Finland that could be utilized?
So one thing maybe I will also mention is that maybe I'm doing a little bit harm to the services companies in Estonia in that way that, the things that have been achieved together with the public sector by services companies like Nortal Helmes, like these are really like, they are being used as a model for other governments, and it's really like innovative and good stuff they can do together, and it wouldn't happen without the services sector, I think. So there as well, it's seen as a very good industry, I think. But not knowing the specifics, but I feel that in Poland, there are a certain number of large companies that win most of the tenders, and let's say a company up to 500 people in Poland would see right away that we have to go abroad to make it, or to make it. The rates are better. That's the first thing. Then we can attract talent better. It's not only local language speaking projects, and there are many aspects like that. And for some reason, public sector maybe is not being seen as the most attractive employer. And then you have to somehow, stress that in the Nordics, it's no shame working in public sector cases.
Yeah, exactly. But this talent shortage never seems to end.
No.
Is there going to be an end to this?
No. It's a huge market. If you study European situation and the goals that European has in digitalization, so end of this decade, so 2030, we should have 20 million ICT professionals in Europe, and at the moment we are just about 10 million.
So we double up. And what was the time?
In 8 years, 7 years.
So you're going to double up in 8 years?
7 years, actually. This is almost end of 2022 already. So.
And the problem is that it's not only Europe. You know what I mean? Like
it's a whole global issue, of course. And they're coming from many sources. Like digitalization is having a huge trend, so it requires talent. At the same time, aging is cutting the talent we have. So like in many industries, automation is seen as a tool to manage the talent shortage. Like in Finland, some mid-cap industrial companies I have interviewed and met, they tell that because they are not able to get the right kind of people working on warehouses, on factory floors, they are starting to look at automation solutions that could help and cut time from other people so that they could run the factory with less people. And this is because of talent shortage. This is not because of greedy capitalists. But they don't get the people, and that's a problem.
So, is the future bleak or is it positive?
Future. Look always the bright side of the.
Yeah, it depends on the viewer, I guess.
But it's
quite positive. But there are things always you can make better, and I think that in a way Europe is in a more tough situation than some. Let's say, than EU compared to the UK when it comes to talent. The UK very easy; everyone can speak English. In the Nordics, you have so many. You still have sectors where you have a lot of legacy, which is written in the local language, where you have a lot of processes that are in the local language, and that of course it's changing. But you have to really like strategically make this choice because you open up the talent market like this. If you stay stuck with, your local language, you're going to limit the talent market, simple as that. And you may somehow find the talents, but you're definitely going to pay more.
Yeah. There are talent pockets still in Europe, also in other.
Are they
other
in
parts.
the East?
This Baltic area is one of these. Poland is a huge source of talent, and I think so-called Eastern Europe, as we know it, it has strong mathematical culture.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. Of course, there are other areas and regions where coders happen, but I think EU, so European Union, and how easy we can transfer people inside European Union. Although I think all allies projects have been remote delivery.
They are remote. Yeah. And also adding to that what Petri said, yes, there are talent pockets, but it's not like Polish developers are now waiting that, hey, when we can get a project. They are all occupied. They are all in projects.
Yeah.
The best people are all in projects.
Yeah, and the Polish companies are the best companies. It's not like in maybe old times we used to think about that they are offshoring and nearshoring, and I would say that very soon we will see leading brands that are from Poland, from Czech.
Yeah.
So this mathematical talent and the business drive that Poland has is going to change this Europe.
I totally hear, because in my own startups I had. When I was looking for developers, obviously it was super hard to get just developers. We couldn't get any Finnish ones. So all our developers from the back end to the front to server side was from the east. So we had from Slovakia, we had from Ukraine, we had from Russia, all only east. We didn't have a single developer coming from like the Western European side. Everything from these. And as you said, they all were like really knowledgeable in mathematics. They understood logic and could do this stuff. And some have been like physics teachers, and that is awesome. So I was, through my own recruitment, I was really like could hire only Eastern. I have no problems at all because they have shown me that they are really good.
Yeah.
Work, so.
Finnish engineers are good as well. So we have to give a strong respect to Finnish software industry. So we have done a lot of things good, and also of course we have been lucky. We had Nokia that has been helping us to build up the education system, and then Nokia difficulties have released the skill and talent, and also when Nokia had difficult times, also they give a lot of funds and they help building new companies. Like Haltian, one of my customers in Oulu, is a whole team from Nokia, and now 50 million euro growth rate is 70+% a year. So amazing stories in Finland also. So we have a lot of talent here.
So the talent shortage is real. We need 10 million new developers. You're a part of helping companies with that. So, I mean, what would you say? I mean, we're not going to get 10 million developers probably.
Priit will deliver 2 million.
but coming to you, like, are you going? Or do you have your talent pool only in Europe, or is it India as well, Pakistan, or these countries?
Our talent pool is only in Europe, and it's like maybe part of that. You listen to customers or something. It's our customers would not buy non-EU, resources from us. Mainly it comes down to GDPR, mainly then it comes down to trust as well. And there are companies in Finland as well that are able to offer offshore resources, but then the sort of supply chain is a little bit different, and we don't do that. Our supply comes strictly from the EU, and I think the key here is that you find like sort of, for us, it's harder to sell a regular Java developer. Of course, if it was a Java with Finnish skills, then it would be different. But it's like all about some sort of niche in which they're strong in, whether a skill that is very hard to find or domain knowledge which is required for that particular project. And then if we can bring these kind of people into projects, that's quite often or almost always like a success. But if we were to offer just generic skills, I don't know, that just PHP, just Java, just not .NET, then it's not really it's not where the beef is. It's about the specialization of these talents, and then you bring to the talent work that they want to really do because it's really niche in their domain. They're happier, the company is happier, and
they know that they have options. So there's less talent than opportunities. So of course you want to take the best project for you. And that's something that's actually driving into segmentation thinking of talent market as well. So that's what has happened in Finland very strongly. So that we used to have giants, then we discovered that if we start doing design thinking in market, we get close to the customers and we can locally serve. And new companies were like growth of Go4 has started from this design thinking. Also Siili, some other companies have been leaders in that. When they discovered that there's a shortage of talent, so some players discovered that talent is not one talent, it's talent with many needs, and we can make new salary models. And then they discovered that let's not have these different working models under one brand. Let's make different brand for different segments.
Exactly.
And build the ecosystem. So ecosystems are also growing fast.
Yes, I understand, but they're basically copying each other. So almost all companies soon will have subsidiaries with doing specialization, right?
Not all, because the job market, there will be no one talent. So only one kind of talent category likes this kind of job model. But there are also models for monthly salaries. There are some companies are building that everybody have equal salary system, and it's many kind of.
My initial reaction is negative, but it's like I feel like it's very demotivating for people who are super hard workers.
Go and tell them. So they like it. If you like bananas, you buy bananas, and someone else likes apples. And then so I don't want to make people and fruits. I don't want to mix them together. But the thing is, like in customer market, there's a lot of segments. So some people are in different segments.
And I think it brings to the point is that quite often either you would have the talent saying, or you would have the kind of the customer saying that, hey, that was a bad talent, or hey, that was a bad customer. But most likely neither of them were bad. The sort of they just didn't have the right fit. And that's what usually happens. So, but it comes to really like good segmenting to understand as a talent what you want, and to understand as a company what kind of people you want to bring into your projects. And then if you do that really well, both sides are going to be really happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as many as there are people, there will be models.
Yeah, and actually, it's surprising that it has taken so long to discover this kind of talent market segmentation, because if you think about talent market, it's by nature micro-segmented. So old job advertisements. So they think this talent C++ in this kind of industry, blah, 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 this many years of experience. Yeah. That's a micro-segmenting, isn't it?
So what are the next steps now for Allies?
On the product side, and that's a little bit more on the demand side, we really want to become this sort of, in a way for our industry, it's maybe not the best example, but Booking.com
that's a good analogy. It's a good analogy.
For this industry, that if you run a dev house, and then there are many levels, you start really small and then you can go really big. There is no plug and play system which helps you in your processes and in your sales, in your recruitment, in everything that actually brings you growth. And there are so many things that you can do. And Allies platform is step by step like addressing these issues. We have more companies that start using our talent management platform. We have more companies that start using the talent from our platform. We even have now the first cases where sort of what we initially saw as vendors. So let's say an Estonian company using another Estonian company's talent. And we initially thought it's kind of linear, that market, but in reality there are one company at any given moment can be either a client or a supplier. So and you have to have a system that facilitates that. And our product is more and more able to facilitate it. And there is a lot of work to be done in that area.
Yeah. But it's a process, and the more you understand, the more you get in depth, the more of a competitive advantage you will gain, which is going to make it very, very hard for other companies to enter, because the knowledge you have had. There's a reason why we only have basically Booking.com and Hotels.com. The entry barriers are huge.
Yeah. This is Allies is a platform business model.
Yeah.
So it's future looks bright. Allies has actually quite strong advisory board. So there are many kind of talents from many markets in Allies board. So I think that's helping Priit a lot. And then another good point is that Allies is running cash flow positive. So it's
that is
Not yet. Lie.
No,
Almost.
no.
almost.
So not yet.
Okay, you say almost.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's not get
Black numbers. That's music to my ear.
but I don't want to lie. But we are on our way there, and we think it's quite important at this stage. And then we have again a chance to look around and maybe think about how we boost our growth. And there is a lot to be done. So yes. Yeah.
We jokingly talked before we started this campaign that the sign for running out of time would be showing my middle finger. But I'm not gonna do that. But now you know. Jokes aside, I mean we have talked for quite a while already. I'm very sorry to have to cut this at this point. I could keep going. Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Try calling Petri. It will take some time as well.
All right. Thank you, Petri Niiranen and Priit Pavelson, for this one. We see you next time in the Allies podcast. I'm Tomi Kaukinen, and goodbye.